Very good morning, Murali.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah.
Mr.
So very
Reddy.
good morning to everyone. So I'm happy to inform you that today we are organizing one webinar. So expert lecture on sustainable utilization of scrap tire derived geomaterials for civil engineering applications. So under IGS SVEC student chapter. So I am very delighted to have my friend Professor A. Murali Krishna from Indian Institute of Technology, Dean Infrastructure. So I am very thankful to Dr. Murali Krishna for having accepted my invitation immediately to deliver an expert lecture on the very important topic, sustainable material use in geotechnical applications. So I would like to introduce Murali Krishna. So Murali Krishna, he has to his credit. You just have a look at the profile. So he has almost 20 to 25 years of experience in teaching, research, and he has to his credit number of publications both in international and national conferences and refereed journals. He has to his credit, he has worked at the different levels at IIT Guwahati and presently working with IIT Tirupati as Dean Infrastructure and Planning, and is a renowned professor in the field of geotechnical engineering. So contributing to civil engineering field as such. So now I invite Dr. Murali Krishna to take up the session. Thank you, Murali.
Thank you all. Good morning, you all. Thank you, Professor Ishwar Reddy. It's my pleasure to deliver this expert lecture. Just want to know how many participants are there and who are all there. I can see only a couple of or two participants, something like that one. And just how many participated among them, how many students and how many faculty are there, just to have some idea. Do you have something?
Yeah, so we have almost around two section. I mean, around 280 students plus faculty around 20.
Okay. Okay. How many joined in this webinar?
As of now, so around 120.
120, including faculty and students.
Yeah. So they may be joining.
Okay. Okay. So fine. Yeah. Coming back to that talk, today I have chosen the topic: sustainable utilization of scrap tire derived geomaterials for civil engineering applications. So the talk will go like this one. I just briefly touch upon what is sustainability, what are the primary components of sustainability, and we will see about some information about the scrap tires. What are scrap tires? What are the problems associated with? And then we'll see we are using a word geomaterial and scrap tire derived geomaterials. We'll see what are the various scrap tire derived geomaterials, what are their properties, we'll briefly see. And then we'll broadly see various applications in civil engineering, and then particularly little bit more focused on geotechnical applications will be touched upon. And then the other part, retaining wall applications, which is basically from my research, my students' research efforts. One master student and one PhD student has worked on using the scrap tire derived materials for retaining wall applications. I will try to explain the retaining wall applications in the form of model studies and how we are addressing the sustainability. This one, and a sustainability aspect also will be touched at the end, and then I will be concluding with my concluding remarks. This is what the broadly content what I have taken here. Most of this presentation is based on this publication, which is Sustainable Utilization of Scrap Tire Derived Geomaterials for Geotechnical Applications, which was published in Indian Geotechnical Journal and 2018. So Dr. S. Balireddy, he is was my research scholar, and Professor Krishna Reddy is my collaborator. I hope you all have attended his lecture when he visited your institute recently. So if somebody wants interested to know more details, they can get into this paper to have the more details, more references and all, just for information. Okay, so coming to the sustainability, I'm not going into the sustainability topic in depth, okay, because it's a vast, we can talk several lectures, there is a special course on this one, but as a simplified understanding, so what is sustainability is addressed here. You see, I have taken a definition exactly mentioned in UN 1987, which was reported by Reddy and Kumar paper. So you see the definition, what the sustainability, original thing, development of any system, any methodology, any infrastructure that meets the needs of the present generation. In the present generation, whatever is requirement, all those things should be justified without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Okay, it means a lot. It means a lot if you look more deeper inside. So the thing is, it should fulfill our present requirement. At the same time, it should not sacrifice the future generations' requirements. Okay, but their requirements also should be able to survive. That's what the main object of the sustainability over the generations. So it's basically sustainability, basically linked with the three E's. Okay, it's a triple bottom line concept they highlighted here. So you see, it will deal with the environment, and it will deal with economics, and it will deal with equity. Equity in the sense society and the people and their requirements, their basically societal things will be coming in this equity content. And environment, what are the resources we are trying to use for any of the application, any of the infrastructure, and economics at the same time. We have to balance for any engineering structure, any engineering concept, we have to balance the economics. So they are all interlinked as for this one. Okay, the equity, society and environment, they are interlinked. Okay, so growth, control, conflict, as we keep on using the environment more now, and in the future whatever its complications. And similarly, economics, which is linked with this class and property conflict sometimes. Okay, if you are making very costly, the people it can utilize will be less. Okay, and if you make it more reasonably economical, then many people can use this, but it will complement each other. And then environment economics, again they will be linked with the in terms of resource and pollution conflict. We have to minimize the pollution when we are balancing the environment. At the same time, we have to intelligently, smartly utilize the resources as well, which need to be sustained for generations in future. At the same time, we have to balance economics. Okay, it should be economical project. So they are all interlinked. In a nutshell, what we can say, maintaining this environmental need and economic need and equity need in terms of the societal requirements. If you are generating any project, any product which is meeting the present day requirements and which can also help for the future generation their requirement also, that's how we can maintain the sustainability. That's what basically sustainability in a simplified terms. We will see how the sustainability is related to our today's topic. Next, coming to scrap tires. What are the scrap tires? Scrap tires are, as is written here, undesired urban waste, and which is increasing every year. As you know, across the globe, there are tremendous increase in the motorized vehicle. A lot of millions of the scrap tires are being generated, as a waste material. Here a few statistics are shown here, which was taken from the earlier reports. You can see the latest what were reported here is 2014, which is again 6 years back. Okay, and now you can see, you can imagine the rate of increase into different level. So about 200 to 300 million tires in the United States, and about 20 million in Korea, about 112 million in India, which was reported in 2006. That means about 15 years back, almost about 15 years back, this was reported. You can imagine what's the volume of the things which is being generated now. So in future, increase will be in significant amount in developing countries like India. Of course, now we are almost behaving or we are functioning like a developed countries, but still there is a verge of some sort of development. We can see much more high in the level of development. Okay. So what are the issues with the scrap tires? So as is mentioned in the earlier slide, rate of generation, okay, it is very significant. You see huge amount of scrap tires are being generated. What is the main problem? They are a bulky materials, like in this form, used materials. They are all like small regular motorized vehicles. If you think about the heavy trucks, okay, having very large tires and huge weight, you can imagine the industrial trucks or some sort of transport trucks and all. So there will be huge size and all will be different. Okay, and when you are disposing them in open atmosphere, there will be certain environmental issues. Pollution, it will occupy huge space, lot of bees, insects will go inside. Any rain, during rain, there will be some water stagnation. It will start some insects and some diseases, and water which is lying in the tires, they will seep into the groundwater pollution, and extreme temperatures may be there. Under extreme temperatures, some of these tires may be burning on themselves, and they will cause lot of fire hazard. Sort of several things one can imagine, one can think of what is happening in terms of environmental issues because of these huge amount of scrap tires which are being disposed and all. So what is the way to solve this particular issues in a sustainability approach is to see the possible use of these waste materials for various applications. This is what the sustainability approach. That means what is the approach here? A waste material is we are trying to use for some application. That way we can consume some of the waste material, and we can also reduce the disposal of the waste to some extent. It may not be completed to some extent. So accordingly, we can reduce the problem of disposal to some extent, and the associated reduction in the environmental issues also can be taken care of, because anyway we can't have any control in the rate of generation. Only the second 2 points can be handled if we properly explore the what is sustainability approach in the utilization of waste scrap tire material for various applications. Okay, so keeping this in view, there were several investigations are being carried out globally, and there are several applications were also reported in the literature, which were being used in different places. So coming to the scrap tire, scrap tires generation, you can see how the rate is increasing. So in the case of, for example, in the case of United States, you can see from 90 to 96 there is significant amount of increase. Okay, and of course there is a little fall, and again it's slowly started increasing, because this data what I'm presenting is from the 1990 to 2001, which was published in this reference in 2002. You can also see there is a website, scraptire.org, where you can find some of this information. So there are two things here. One is the scrap tires reused, recycled, and recovered. This bar, light greenish, and you have the yellow bars which will show the scrap tire generation. And this is the red line. It will indicate the percentage of usage. Okay, you can see this is the way how the different percentages. As you can see, The only little percentage was utilized here, and increasing percentage of use is increasing with the years. This is what the US experienced in 2002. So how they are utilizing? In the earlier slide, it showed some scrap tires are being utilized for various applications. How, which industry, which sector they are using? Again, this slide gives you some information. So this is in 2002 again. You can see the civil engineering application, particularly which is our current focus. They are using about 14.2%, and whereas other different things are using in different percentages. Another major use here is in terms of the tire derived fuel, which is being utilized more. Okay, again, it has different environmental issues. It will release a lot of pollutant gases and other things. It is not advised to use for tire derived fuel, but yes, different percentage people are using. And again, coming to the 2006 statistics again here, you can see, I just want to take your attention, the relative increase in the percentage of civil engineering applications. Okay, here 14.2%, which was reported in 2002. In the 2006, it was like 16%. There is a slight increase in the civil engineering applications. That's what people are using this scrap tires in the civil engineering applications. Okay. So that's again various utilization of scrappage, a little bit more detail, and across years 2005 to 2016. So on what about various amounts of that, thousands of tons in various fields. We can see tire derived fuel is a civil engineering application. Again, various statistics. What is to observe here is for civil engineering application, use of scrap types are increasing. So that's about some background about the scrap tires, which are being used for various applications. Now, coming to the scrap tire derived materials, what are the materials that can be obtained from the scrap tires? So, of course, one way to use the scrap tires in application is to use the tire as a whole, okay, as a very bulky tire which has a lot of mass and all. So we can use for some of the applications as a tire alone, as a whole, or otherwise sometimes we can scrap into, we can cut into different size of pieces, and we can get into different pieces here. So there is a particularly on ASTM standard also is there, use of scrap tires in civil engineering applications, which is our current focus here. We'll be looking into civil engineering applications. So in this ASTM standard, it showed different sizes and what they are called here. It's broadly divided into three types. One is a tire crumbs, maximum size of 12 mm. You will see like this one in this form. And tire chips between 12 to 50 mm, which will be looking into this form. And tire sheds, which is ranging from 50 to 305 mm, 1 foot size. You can imagine when you cut the big tires into 1 foot size pieces, will be getting big size tire sheds in this form. So depending on the applications, one can choose which type of which size of tire derived material is suitable. So accordingly, one can pick that particular material. So besides this, tire derived aggregate is another terminology which is now being practiced using the tire with some other material extensively. So crushed rubber from waste tire. Okay, other than the earlier three materials and tire derived aggregate, so if you make this into very crushed, very finer form, you can use this also as a crushed rubber, which is recently reported in 2018, which we can see. To know more details about the use of tire derived materials and their application, so one can go through this particular one. So which was edited by my colleague and friend Professor Hemanta Hazarika, who's now working in Japan but hailed from Assam, part of India. So there's one proceedings. It showed different applications, as I mentioned, as a whole tire applications. One can see like what we are using, and in different form the cover picture shows here. Okay, so we can see this picture, this particular report, to get more understanding about the utilization of scrap tires. Now, so we understood the scrap tires. What are scrap tires? We understood what are the scrap tire road materials. Now we'll little bit go into the engineering part of the application. So when we need to go for engineering part applications, we need to have the properties of any materials, right? Otherwise, we can't really take the material, we can just go and use, because there is a lot of engineering we have to do. So we need to have the properties. So keeping that in mind, there are several researchers have studied on the use of those stamped derived materials of different sizes. As I mentioned, it can be derived into different sizes. So we need to understand different sizes and their properties also. Okay. So this is some sort of literature review. What the specific gravity basically, when you look into any material, okay, first we will see the specific gravity, whether it can be stone or concrete or cement or brick or soil, whatever it is. No, for the specific gravity unit weight is very important parameter. You can see the range of the specific gravity of the studded tire chips is ranging from 1.02 to 1.24, which was reported by different researchers, as I mentioned. They have worked at that. The unit weight values, it can range from 2.4 to 6.96 kilonewton per meter. So I just put a thought to give a thought to the values, whatever the common engineering materials what we are using. I put this to all the students. Just think about what are the range of the specific gravity of various materials you have come across, particularly in engineering, aggregate or brick or soil. What is the range of specific gravity? What is the range of unit weights you are dealing with that one? And you see the what are the range of the values what you are getting from the tire materials. Obviously, if you compare these things, you can see the very less specific gravity with less unit weight. With these things, you can make the combination of this captured material, you can make the material as a very lesser weight. That is one observation immediately one can make, right? And then friction angle values, what the tire chips, the tire materials have, they have in the range of 6 degrees to 35 degrees. Please note this, I am reporting here only for the scrap tires. We did not use any other materials here, whatever we are talking here. Okay. So reasonably, the friction angle values are also very good. For example, if you take any soil, the common range of friction angle value would be around 30-32 degrees, right? So compared to that one, you have very good friction angle, what you can say. So just to summarize the observation by different researchers here, and with reference to different sizes. Whereas earlier slide shows you the broad range of the values. As we also mentioned that there is a size effect. You can see different sizes, different research have taken. You can see the range of the values are shown here. So among this one, I just want to take your attention to the smallest size of the material what they took here is 0.2 centimeters, and the largest size which they have taken was 7.6 centimeters. And the corresponding values, range of the values, you can see 2.4 to 6.9 we were shown in the earlier slide. And you can see the other engineering properties. For example, hydraulic conductivity is shown here. What's the range of hydraulic conductivity values? What's the range of the void ratio values? And next, going to the shear strength parameters. So in terms of the C cohesion and in terms of the friction angle P, so what's the range of the values? How different sizes of the scrap tire materials they can show. You can see the cohesion values reported here ranging from 4.3 to 82 kilonewton per meter square, and friction angle as I shown in the earlier slide 6 to 38 degrees was reported. Okay. So these are different values. Now, so that they are the STDs, scattered materials and their properties. The use of the STD materials, how we can use. as an engineering application, particularly in the civil engineering applications, you can see acidic materials are used in a wide range of civil engineering applications due to the advantages in their properties. We have seen the properties, values, and we can also, most of us know their durability of the material, how it will be there. So it has high durability, okay, and low compacted dry density and thermal conductivity, and high hydraulic conductivity is there, and high compressibility, and enough to absorb. When you are keeping the scrap tires, no, so they have a lot of voids, they can get compressed, they can get absorb a lot of vibration. This is another good property what we can get from the scrap derived materials. So larger studies are available on pure sand-tire derived materials applications, particularly for any of engineering applications. In terms of physical, numerical, and field model studies in the context of retaining walls, foundations, embankments, etc., etc. So here particularly it is focused on theoretical applications, and different studies have been reported in that. Okay, with that one, we'll just see broadly into what are the different civil engineering applications this material can be used. One is the partial replacement of aggregates can be used in mortar and concrete, which were reported by these researchers. And in terms of asphalt mixtures for pavements, which were reported by these researchers. They can also be used in landfills, massive landfills, and the backfilling of retaining wall materials, which is the current focus here. That's why it's highlighted here. Different researchers have used here, and as we understood from their basic property, they have high permeability, so they can also be used as a drainage material, as a drainage system. Okay. Further, it can be used for the reinforcement purpose, and highway embankments, not only pavements, they can be used to build huge volume of embankments also. So these are some of the pictures which are reported in the literature. You can also browse through the particular website, use of different pictures you can get. Some of them I try to put here just for completeness. You can see here road embankment constructed with shredded tires and shredded scrap tire used in road base in Odisha, Texas, that is Texas. And vibration damping layers beneath the rail lanes are used, and the retaining wall backfill. There are some studies between the retaining wall backfill, such compressible materials. So protection of seawall by using hole tires, as I mentioned, directly hole tires can be used to protecting the seawall or certain embankment, which can absorb a lot of energy. Yeah, okay. Tsunami overflow testing apparatus. This is the study again conducted by Hazarika and group. The tsunami, the overflow is happening, and immediately if you keep this huge volume of tires here as a whole, they work like a very good dampers, They damp a lot of energy, and further losses and damages due to this water will be very less here. So this is another thing, they can be used at the back of the retaining structure, the ability of retaining structure. There's a tight cushion is there, and they can also be used in terms of the drains as a tire chip drains here, and the use of tire rubber practicals into concrete to replace the mineral aggregates, as it's also highlighted. Some studies are available in this aspect also. This is one study where they showed the base isolation using the rubber or soil mixture. Okay, a structure at the base they use the rubber and soil mixture. So which is being tested to show which is absorbing those vibrations. So that's about in general civil engineering applications. Okay, in terms of pavement structure, retaining structure, embankment, even buildings, and as a tiles alone, it can be used as a geotechnical structures also. Now, coming to the geotechnical applications, what are the advantages one can get when using these scattered materials in geotechnical applications? One is the one that it creates a sustainable future. Referring to the earlier sustainability concepts, right? If you are able to use the tiles into applications, and you are reducing the waste, and you are reducing the disposal problems, and you can also some significant part of natural material is being replaced by this waste material. That means you are storing, you are reserving some of the natural material for the future generation. So in that way, we are trying to maintain the sustainability. So it creates a sustainable future, and it can also use for reducing the vibration. It can also be used to protect the pipelines which are being buried in the ground or something, because it has a lot of cushion and absorbing behavior. Yes, some of the applications again shown in the context of geotechnical applications. Of course, some of these things which we have seen earlier also, like as a whole, tiles as a forming a small retention system. It's an embankment, this is a drain system, and a subsurface drain is a railway lines. One can see this one. Okay, using the tire mixture into the pavement system. So there's various applications one can think of which can be looked into. So particularly in the earth retention systems, which we'll be focusing a little bit more, so it can be used. These earth retention systems are invariably being used in various infrastructures in urban development countries, because we are doing the more development, more construction, many retention systems are required. So which we require these different forms of basement walls, bridges, apartments, other things and all. So performance of these earth retention system, retaining wall, basically depends on the type of the backfill soil, isn't it? So depending on the backfill soil, how much is earth pressure coming onto the wall is decided, and the design of this wall structure is also depending on how much pressure it is getting. So preferably the backfill material should be a clean, granular, cohesionless material, backfill material, because it should be easily drainable. There should not be any excess pore water pressures which will be causing the detrimental effects on the retaining structures. Okay. So to minimize these whole things, for example, to reduce the pressure coming onto the structure and to reduce the demand, one can go for the lightweight materials. Different lightweight materials can be listed as tire-derived geomaterials, or EPS geofoam, lightweight aggregates, or wood fiber. So this is some sort of the materials which can be used as lightweight materials. And of course, fly ash is a slag, blast furnace slag. These are again, so our Indian researchers predominantly using, because they are being generated by different mines and thermal plants, and all, they are generating this slag and fly ash also. So just to on the other side of this topic today, again, use of the slag and fly ash also sort of sustainable applications one can see, and which can be explored also if somebody interested. Okay. So using the sculpted material as alternative backfills, including static and seismological conditions. Again, different research have worked here. So this is the abutment here. This is the retaining wall applications at the backfill they have used. Some studies they have done, and they have shown the effectiveness of these materials. One more study here by Hazarik et al. 2008. They used the material in the gravity type Kazan model with tire materials. You can see this particular model. This is a gravity type wall, and they use a tire chip cushion here. Okay. And various instrumentation they have used here, accelerometer, pressure sensors, and to see the response of the thing as a model study. This is another study for embankment. What happens about the thermal thermometer was used, and the settlement plates were installed at different level elevation, and vertical inclinometer like this one. They have studied a particular model, and then they started application in the real field. So why I am saying all these things are that gradually we are looking into the material properties and their application. Before going to the systematic application in the field, one need to do the thorough studies in terms of either numerical simulations, some analytical calculations, or otherwise some sort of the model studies. So these are the model studies which I am trying to show how different people are using. Okay, so that's about the overall view of scrap tests and scrap derived materials in various civil engineering applications. Now I am taking you to our research group, our group research activity, which was like use of scrap derived materials into the geotechnical applications, particularly in the data renewal applications. What my students try to do, they try to use the tire derived materials, this is tire chips. Here we have taken 10 mm by 20 mm size, 10 mm cross section square and 20 mm long approximately. You can see very closer view. These tire chips were mixed with the sand and then they try to create the sand tire chip mixes, STC mixes, sand tire chip mixes. So this is the sand and tire chips, they mixed together and they form this one. Okay, this is the material created, and then again the characterization and finding different properties and then using it in application. This is what the thing happened here. Okay, so now properties. Professor Reddy, Ishwar Reddy.
Yeah.
I hope, are you getting any response from the audience, whether they are able to follow?
Yeah. I'm monitoring. I'm monitoring.
Okay,
it's good.
Monitoring, right?
Everything is visible, your screen, yourself, as well as PowerPoint.
Okay, then fine. Okay, you did you get any feedback from the others? Whether they are.
Yeah, I'm getting. Okay. They are getting. Everything is clear and out.
Fine. Then fine. Okay. I hope because I didn't tell any complicated things, so it is clear to all the participants, particularly the students, if some concepts were understood easily. If you have any doubts, any questions, please make a note. I think there is a question and answer box also is there. If something is coming to your mind, immediately put in there. Okay, no need to keep reserve for some time later on something. If you are able to write on a piece of paper, you can do, or you can put on the question that box also, so that we can discuss maybe now or maybe later or something like that. Okay, what I'm trying to say here is, if some thought, some idea, some question is arising in your mind, don't let it go away. Okay, just keep the thing and write and get it. Try to get it sorted, resolved, or discuss with your friends or with me or supervisors or something. Okay, fine. So going to the talk again, as I mentioned, yes, this is our research activity. I just started from here. So STC mixtures, properties of STC mixtures. Okay, first material is STC mixture, sand and tire chip mixture, and then properties. So similar style of sand and tire chip mixtures were also being used by different earlier researchers in different combinations and different sizes and other things. Okay, just I'm trying to show here what were the properties reported in the literature. Okay, so we should do some proper literature survey, understand what people have done, how the properties they have arrived. So for that context, it was reported here. You can see the series of people they have worked to calculate the shear strength properties of STC mixtures and the range of angle of internal friction values. Okay, again, I'm taking you to our basic mechanics. So for designing of any material, any structure, we need to have the shear strength of the particular material. Particularly when you are talking as a geomaterial, why we are calling it a geomaterial? because we are using this material into the geotechnical engineering applications. So we are calling this as a geomaterial. For the geomaterial, the properties should be minimum properties, basic properties is friction angle and cohesion values. C and phi values are very commonly being used. So the information about those things were mentioned here. Okay, range of the phi value is 30 to 58 degrees for STC mixture materials. I take a pause here and think back what was the phi value report mentioned in the earlier slide. If you recall, the values earlier mentioned was 8 to 36 degrees, 38 degrees in that range. Okay, only that is only for sand, scrap tire material. Here, what we are talking is a sand tire chip mixes. The minimum value is 30 degrees and maximum value is 58 degrees. Immediately, one can think about the material, how stiffer, how stronger this material is when compared to the only sand material or only tire chip materials. But the combination material, it has very good thing. And you have the range of the cohesion values in the range of 0 to 25 kilowatts. So for the current study for our students, as I mentioned, we have taken sand and used the tire chips of 10 mm by 20 mm cross section. Okay, so different when you are mixing two materials, there will be different combinations, right? So this sand, it is shown here, pure sand, and if you are having the completely tire chips, pure tire chips, the properties are shown here. You can see sand material property and pure tire chip material property. And in between, when you are mixing two materials, we can vary the percentages, right? Here, the percentage is shown in terms of the tire chips percentage. STC 10 means in a whole mass of STC material, 10% of the material is tire chips. Similarly, you can see the 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, and then 100%. Okay. So you can see the some of the pictures are shown here. How it is looking. STC 0, STC 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%. You can see the 50%. So even if the 50%, if you see, is like more of fully only tire chips is available here. Only little sand is there inside. So that's the why it stopped at 50% and then completely 100%. So you can see the range of the properties here in terms of specific gravity, in terms of die unit weight, in terms of friction angle are shown here, ranging from pure tire chips is 1.08 and but the sand is 2.62 and tire chips unit weight is 6.45 and sand unit weight is 15.57 and friction angle, of course tire chips alone is 28 degrees but only sand alone is 46 degrees. It's very high value compared to the normal sand because the soil particles are very highly granular and angular material, and this was reported based on the direct shear test. So it is slightly higher TPS2P. But you can see the range of the phi values with the different combination of the tire chips. So as you are increasing the tire chips, your friction angle increases. You can see up to maximum at 53 degrees, and then again it reduced. Okay, so this is the range of friction angles. So one can refer to this particular paper, AC Journal of Materials in Civil Engineering, which was report published in 2016. So the values whatever obtained and shown in the earlier slide, they were shown in a graphical form to have the better representation. So here if the blue line indicates the dry unit weight here, as you increase the tire chip percentage, your unit weight is reducing. Okay. And this red line, it indicates the void ratio. Okay. As 0%, this is the void ratio of the sand alone. If you are having a few tire chips, this is the void ratio what you are having this one. When you are having the combination of these materials, initially the void ratio is gradually decreases, and this is the lowest void ratio what you can get. And as you increase again tire chip content, voids will be more and it is increasing further. That's why, as I mentioned, beyond 50%, you have significant increase in the void ratio. Just to complete this curve here, of course, we stopped at the 50% percentage, and then we have directly the 100%. We did one test trial to see what are the properties for 70% to show the complete properties. So, again, what is this green line here? Green line, green band here indicates the where is the optimum value, where you are getting the very low void ratio here and high strength. This black line indicates the strength in terms of the internal friction angle is shown here in this way. Okay, so you can see there are three values are shown in the y-axis. So here, this zone, you are getting the high friction value and low void ratio, which will give you the better nearing behavior. This is the range of the optimum mixture. One can see about 30 to 40%. We can see if you're utilizing, you can get the much advantage of the materials. So if you are focusing on the material of this range, obviously we can get the advantages of these materials because of high durability constituents of the tires, low dye density and thermal conductivity, high hydraulic conductivity, high compressibility. These are some of the properties what we have seen earlier. Okay, all those things are obtained from this basic material characteristics. Now, we characterize as a material alone. Now we are moving to the application. Basically, as I mentioned, our focus in this particular talk is to show on the retaining wall applications. So we have our students have tried to do some model studies to see the response of the retaining walls using the tire tip derived materials. So for this purpose, what we have done is we built resid-based wall models of 600 mm height. This height is 600 mm wall. Okay, and length is 600 mm length of the wall. This model wall model was built in a container, Perfex container, 1200 mm long and 600 mm wide and 1000 mm height. This is a Perfex container wall. So wall facing was built with hollow rectangular sections. So I will show there. They are connected by different connecting rods. Various instrumentations were used, LVDTs to measure the displacements and accelerometers to see the acceleration response, earth pressure sensors to see the water that pressure is acting on the wall. So this is how the physical model wall was developed. So this is a wall facing as mentioned here, and sand and sand type mixtures. It was put in different layers and compacted at each layer. Before making this model wall, there were several trials have been done at what percentage mix, at what the density, what the unit weight we are obtaining. So different trials were done. Accordingly, the model was prepared. So, and at the top, the surcharge was applied in terms of the concrete blocks. And these are the LVDTs which were placed on the face of the wall to see the wall deformation. Okay, one can measure that. So as a study, we have conducted both the static study and the dynamic study. For the static study, that means static surcharges were applied in terms of the concrete blocks. In the dynamic study, we have applied different types of earthquake excitation, seismic excitation to see the wall behavior. This is the one shaking table which is available in IIT Guwahati. On the shaking table, the model container was placed, and inside the model container, you can see the wall which is prepared. So this is some shaking table details, and these are the earth pressure sensors, whatever being installed inside. This is the LVDTs, and these are the accelerometers, which are MEMS-based accelerometers used to measure the acceleration. And all the data during the statics test and the dynamic test was obtained to the MGC HBM data acquisition system, which was connected to the laptop directly. All the data has been obtained into this data acquisition system. So this is the schematic. That's the earlier picture shows the dimension and how it is being done. If you look more closely where the accelerometers were kept placed and how the thing is a schematic. You can see the wall dimensions here clearly, 600 mm height, and this is a 600 mm length here. Okay. Here we have the backside flexible boundary was placed here to avoid the boundary effects under the dynamic shaking. So this is the how the other dimensions. Pressure sensors were placed very close to the wall. This is the accelerometer at different elevations. This is the LVDTs, L1, L2, L3 are the LVDTs which are placed to see the response of it. So this is how the different model was developed. And there are two series of tests were conducted. One is a static test and the other one was seismic test. The results of these tests were reported in the two publications, Reddy and Krishna and Reddy et al. 2015. So from the static test is nothing but preparing the model wall with the different sand type chip mixtures and keep applying the concrete blocks, increasing the surcharge. So you can see the tests here and the different types of backfill material using different. One is 0% means pure sand, and STC 50 is 50% ideal material, and surcharge were increased gradually 0 to 10 kilopascal. Okay, so gradually 0 means no surcharge and 10 kilopascal maximum pressure was applied. So this is the one publication which is reporting about these tests and details here. So you can see here, this is the what are the results, what are the observations from this study. So x-axis indicates the percentage of tight chips by weight, and the y-axis indicates the top displacements. So when when you apply the surcharge, wall tend to move like this, right? When you apply the surcharge, so only at the top displacements were taken, how much it is deforming. The top displacement is shown here. The top displacement is the absolute values what was reported for different things. This is the percentage reduction with reference to your these lines. This black line is the wall displacement here. So this is the 0% only for sand case. How much displacement when you are using the tight chip materials? What the displacements are here. These bars, blue color line bars, indicates how much percentage reduction. So you can see the percentage reduction in the maximum. It went up to the 60% of reduction for this particular using tight chip materials. So here, earth pressures were reported here. Okay, sorry, I think there is a problem in this figure. I need to change this figure. So another observation again, the earth pressures are shown, will be shown here, and percentage reduction. Again, we got about 50 to 60% reduction even in the earth pressures also. So that's about the static test. What is on the static test? It was observed, but with including the tight chips into the sand, about 30 to 40% of the mixture, that means STC 30 to 40%, we are able to get the reduced deformations and reduce the earth pressures under static conditions. Now, further, shaking table studies were conducted to see the seismic response of this one. So model walls with the different STC mixes were done, and to measure the response in terms of the displacements and internal earth pressures and acceleration amplification factors. So what is the acceleration amplification factor? Okay, if you recall the particular instrumentation figure, accelerometers were placed at the bottom, at the middle, at the top at different heights. Okay, what are the acceleration you are recording at different elevations? If you normalize with reference to the acceleration at the base, so you can calculate the what's the amplification, how much it is being amplified. That's what the amplification factor will be calculated, which will be used for further discussion. So for this test, as you can see, backfill was prepared with different STC material 0 to 50, and different accelerations were used and the different frequency of excitations were used, and up to 20 number of cycles were used for testing the walls. So these are typical results what were obtained here. 20 cycles of excitation. A1 is at the base and A2, A3 are different elevations. So how they are amplifier and de-amplifier are shown here. Okay. These are displacement histories directly. Okay, because you applied the LVDT, when you are shaking the thing, what is the displacement, how you are getting, one can see here. And similarly, incremental earth pressures, because earth pressure cells are there, how much is the pressure acting on the cell? So the records of the earth pressure cells are shown here. So these are the for what is the 3 heads and 3G acceleration level, how much is the response to that regard. Okay, so so this is like seismic tests using the real earthquake motions are also used, whereas the earlier tests were pure sinusoidal tests. This is for real earthquake motions were used, and they have obtained the thing. 4 different earthquake motions having different magnitude, different PGA values were used, and what the duration here, they are different. You can see from the 50 seconds to 300 seconds, different duration were used. So these are the codes what we used for different types of earthquakes, Tohoku and New Zealand and other things here. So this is the real earthquake motion and their data. So you can see each particular sub-figure, you have the 2 different things. One is the STC0 and STC10. STC0 is pure sand. How much is the response? STC10 is the response with 10% mixture. Similarly, you can see all other mixtures results are shown here. So what this particular table shows here for SN earthquake motion. So what are the displacement, peak displacements obtained for different backfill material walls, and what's the percentage of reduction with reference to the STC0? Please see, note here that displacements are very less. You can see in terms of less than 1 mm, but relative percentages were calculated as per the model of behavior. So this is the incremental earth pressure data, similar way for earthquake, SN earthquake motion, and almost similar sort of reduction was obtained. So when you want to compare the profile of displacement and the incremental earth pressures and acceleration profiles for different STC mixes, so this is the data you can see here. This black line indicates the STC0, that means only for sand backfill, what is the displacement of the wall for the similar earthquake excitation, and then for different backfill materials, how they vary. Please see this particular line, this belongs to STC30. STC30, you got the very less deformations. Similarly, the STC30 showed very less deformations. STC30 showed very less amplifications compared to the other material. This is what the observation as a whole, how much it is being affected. So that is one particular mode of retaining wall using the rigid faced wall, and then the behavior. We also studied another type of the wall, that is, I hope you can all recall the particular model wall. This is the cantilever type retaining wall model, which is more commonly being used in application. So this wall was built, and with the foundation material was also there. There is some embedment. This is more realistic thing commonly being used, and this backfill material was replaced with different. So this model wall was developed using this like 2 mm thick aluminum sections, rectangular, hollow rectangular aluminum section. They were joined together to form a cantilever model wall. Okay, if somebody can just add one more section to increase the length, and you can remove the section to change different toe, base, heel, and height of the wall can be added. One can just try if somebody interested to do some model studies also. Of course, for this particular study, we didn't vary much. Whatever the only one particular configuration study. Again, you can see L1, L2, L3, LVDTs, and P1, P2, P3. They are all the pressure sensors were placed here. So this is a cantilever model wall in the model wall, and the how the particular loading. We also measured the top surface deformation also using this one. Okay. Similar way, whatever was done in the earlier case, we increase the gradually surcharge here, and we observe the top displacements. Yeah. Here the data is for presented in terms of such as in the horizontal axis and top displacement in y-axis, but different lines for different materials. This is only sand you have this material, this line, and STC 0, 5, 10, 15%. Here in this particular wall, we didn't go up to 30%, only up to 15% was only tested here. The sort of responses, like what I mentioned earlier, displacement histories, accelerations, and the profiles in the vertical section, they are shown here. That is one set of another mode of wall. Of course, the details of these things can be available at this particular ACE special publications. If somebody interested can go through, but I just gave a glimpse of the things or the typical results and how the things. Another mode of use of material is using the tight chip material just behind the wall as a compressible inclusion. This is the third mode of the wall. Here again, it's like rigid faced wall. That means this wall section is fixed to this particular face, rigid faced wall. This is a pure sand fill and this is a sand backfill with some compressible inclusion in terms of tight chips, right? So a plastic bag was used to put the tire chips so that sand and tire chips will not mix there. Okay, this is how the picture look like and different configuration. Again, using LVDTs, accelerometer, pressure sensors to see the response and all. So this particular study details one can see in the Ground Improvement Journal, which is published in 2017. Here, this particular type chips, no, they were used two different thickness. One is the 90 mm and other one is the 180 mm. Only three varieties, but backfill is same. Static tests were done with 0 to 10 kPa variation, and the results were presented here. You can see only the sand, you have the huge top displacement, but if you apply the compressible inclusion, so you have significantly got the lesser top displacement. You can see the particular variation here. So these displacements, these maximum displacements, only this maximum displacement 10 kPa such as were plotted here. And what is the percentage of reduction in the displacements are shown here. So similarly, maximum lateral earth pressures are also plotted and the percentage reduction also shown here. So you got about 30 to 70% reduction in the earth pressure. This comparison of displacements and pressures under seismic excitation. Different earthquake excitations were applied and we have seen what is the reduction for different compressible inclusion 90 mm and 180 mm. What is the percentage reduction you can see here. So broadly we can see for the 180 mm the reduction is very significant. You can see from 63 to 68% huge different reduction. There in terms of the earth pressures. So for the 90 mm compressible inclusion thickness range, you have from 30% to 45%, 46%. Whereas if you are having 180 mm compressible inclusion, you have about 60 to 70% reduction in the earth pressures. So that is about the advantage of using the sand tight chip derived material as a mixture in different mode of walls. One is the rigid faced wall, other one is cantilever model wall, and third one is with the compressible inclusion. And the observations were very encouraging, saying that use of tight chip material will reduce the deformations, pressures, and their demand also. Now, going back to the starting of the initial topic of the presentation, that is sustainability. Okay, we have seen the sustainable utilization of the materials because they can be utilized easily and function, their strength is good, their behavior is good. We got advantage of the material and advantage. It can significantly replace the natural material. Now, the other part is the economics, cost analysis to see finally whether the material is really sustainable or not. So that aspect has been touched here, this particular one. So design and cost analysis of retaining walls with STC materials. So this is again a book chapter which is published in this one in 2017. What it was done here, we have taken 2-3 different heights of the wall, cantilever retaining wall, and used two different materials. One is the STC0, that means pure sand, and other one is the STC30 with 30% type chip material in the sand. So if you are using two different materials, how the whole design scenario will change, how the cost effect will change, complete thing we have done. So in this part, we have done two things. One is any general retaining wall design. One is basically we need to do the geotechnical design, and then one will go for the structural design. With the geotechnical design, you will be doing the stability checks, and the final dimensions of the wall will be finalized, right? And then when you go for the structural design of the wall dimensions, whatever are being finalized here, we will go much deeper into the stem design, what the stem width, what the reinforcement, what the toe design, heel, and the reinforcement. All these things will be designed in the structural design. So using these two materials, the particular parameters were done, and then cost analysis has been carried out for the both the types of the walls. So these are the typical range of the parameters one can adopt for designing of the retaining wall as per the Bowles 1988 is a general range of the dimensions one can start with. Okay, using those things, and the geotechnical design was done, and bending moments, other things were calculated using the material properties what were obtained here. You see here for the sand type materials, we have the unit weight of 15.5 kilometer cube and the friction angle as 48 degrees. For STC30, you can see 13.17 kilonewton per meter cube and 56 degrees as the friction angle. These two parameters were used in the design. So here one can calculate what's the earth pressure acting on the wall, and then what's the bending moment, earth pressure diagram distribution, and bending moments and all. I'm not going into the detail, only just presenting here in terms of the maximum bending moment and maximum shear forces for 2-3 different elements. One is stem, toe, and heel. So what are the values here? You can see clearly one is a sand case on STC30 case, what are the values are here. Just by looking into these pictures, one can say that STC30 mixture is reducing their demand in terms of the bending moment resistance and shear force resistance to some extent reasonably. Okay, so all those things, keeping these things, so maximum earth pressures and maximum bending moment and shear forces for the different cases, maximum shear force, all these things were done. So finally, based on all the things, retaining wall, 3 different heights of the wall, 3 meters, 6 meters, and 9 meters heights, with different materials. What are the dimensions were arrived as per this one by following the appropriate calculations. Now, for this material design, so we got the stem base whole wall design, considering the bending moments, considering the earth pressures and all. This is the final dimensions. So now, for this particular dimensions, material cost and the estimated total cost was done. So for materials, this is the cost it is being taken here. So cost range, different ranges which were obtained from the local market and from literature also. And in this study, what are the cost it is being taken here is shown here. Okay, steel, cement, aggregate, and tire chips per kg of the tire chips, how much it is costing. All these things were taken, and then some estimated costs were calculated. You can see for different heights of the wall, when you are using two different materials, sand and STC30, and what's the cost for different height of the wall is shown here, and percentage saving in terms of sand with reference to sand and STC was calculated and shown here. Okay, this is the total percentage of saving what you are obtaining in this one. This is only in terms of the backfill material shown here. Estimated total cost, total including structural design, reinforcement, all other things were also included here. So total saving, how much we are getting is shown here. Here, in this case, what we have taken here is initially sand cost per kg is 1.5 rupees, whereas type chip cost was taken as 3 rupees. Okay, why so? Because when you are doing a small scale and if you type chips are not abundantly available, then of course you may get the scrap tires easily, but cutting into the proper pieces and arranging the thing, this process may take sometimes extra. So that time you may incur more cost in that one. So even in that case also, you are able to get a significant reduction in the range of 20% reduction in the cost. Suppose if you are considering the sand cost and tire chip cost both are same, and even then you are able to achieve the economic benefit about 30% of the cost benefit you are getting. So that's how it shows they are also financially viable and economical. So now sorry. So coming to the conclusions, closing. So just to, I have given a overview of the, just we started with the sustainability and the scrap tires, scrap tire materials, properties and applications. This is what overall what we have taken. And we have looked more closely into the what are the studies, research studies one can do, and what we have done particularly in terms of the retaining wall applications we have seen, and we also evaluate the sustainability concept. So these are some of the conclusions I hope you must have got from the earlier slides. Otherwise, you can just have a look. STD materials, they have the different advantages, engineering properties, engineering properties they have, so which can encourage, which you are encouraging to use them for various engineering. Okay, directly if you take the sand tire chip mixes, about 30 to 40% mixture, you are getting more beneficial properties, which is about 20% reduction in dry unit weight, and when at this unit weight, it will occupy about 50 to 60% of the natural material. Your sand consumption you can reduce by 50 to 60%, and you are getting more strength value also. So model was with the different excessive mixed backfill showed significant reduction in displacement, pressures and accelerations. I hope you all agree because we have shown the results. And the percentage reduction maximum one can say 60% for displacement, and in some cases it went up to the 80% for incremental earth pressures. Okay, so that's about in general static things. When you talk about the seismic resilience, okay, the STC type materials, they could withstand more displacements, more pressures, so they are more seismic resilient structures. And coming to the final cost economics point of view, so you can see about 35%, about 30% reduction in the cost when using the STC30 material compared to the sand backfill material. Now, again, going back to the sustainability concept, the particular application, it serves all the components, it meets all the components. That means we are using the waste material and saving the natural resources. So we are minimizing the cost, economics is maintained, and it also improves the structure performance. It is more seismic resilience, it is a more reduction in the behavior. That means we are getting the more structural behavior. So that way, it satisfies all the requirements of a sustainable structure. So that's how we are telling this is a sustainable utilization of the geomaterials for retaining wall applications. Thank you for your patient learning. I hope you could get some information, if not the complete details. Thank you, Professor Ishwardi, for giving this opportunity. Thank you. Now, if there are any questions, I can take a couple of things. Rather questions, I'll see it as a discussion, any sort of discussion or something. Yeah.
Thank you, Murali.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question actually. So regarding the durability of tire waste.
Hmm.
So can you put some light on that?
And what durability? What I did not.
For example, if I use tire waste, so in with earthen material, how long it will be durable? So, for example, when compared to the life of the earthen structure, so whether it will be there for the complete life of the earthen structure, or it will have some 50% or 60% lifetime.
No, it's expected that they are not easily degradable. Not easily degradable. Okay,
Is there any study regarding that? Because I'm using a artificial material, which is a waste material, with the natural material like sand or soil, whatever you talk about. So in that context, so what is the lifetime of this particular material? So when used as a mixture?
Yeah, it is expected that it will behave long. It will behave long. I don't have any data. The
Okay.
longevity of the thing. The main problem associated with the tire materials, disposal of scrap tire materials is its longevity. They are not easily degradable. They will be longer survivability. But yes, it's not. There is no clear data as per my understanding.
Because we need to understand even this effect of
I agree. I agree.
interaction parameters of soil
Yeah.
with
In the normal circumstances, yes, it is fine within the ground. But when I'm just seeing now after your question, there may be some sort of like it is exposed to the severe heat for a longer time, and it is continuously being polluted with some sort of pollutants or some sort of liquids and all. Then what could be the behavior of these peptide materials? Yes, one may need to see the thing. Okay, if your mixture is expected to be exposed to the extreme heat or any sort of chemical reactions or chemical interactions, yes, one need to look into. I agree. Yeah. But I don't have anything. But the most of the studies what they have taken, because it's using the mixtures. When you're using the two different materials, it is like sand type materials they are taking. So basically, sand sort of inert material. It won't allow any water and other things also. So it's okay. But otherwise, in the natural condition, if you are mixing with other materials, other exposed conditions, as there may be some effect which may need to take care.
Yeah, thank you. So I just see the questions if any are there.
How many are there now, just for information?
Yeah, around 100 only, 112 or something.
Okay, good.
I'm just going ahead with
You can share that PDF file which I shared to pass on to you.
yeah,
To the
definitely, yeah.
for complete details. Okay, I can see the questions here. Yeah.
I'm typing actually.
Yeah, I can see here there is Mohit Mistry. He wrote friction angle, where friction angle is reducing opposite. What is the probable reason of something? Kaushik is, and there is another point that tires lose their strength by the, I think when they are exposed to water. How can we consider that? This is another point what you have raised. Fluid admixture of reinforced material. Somebody raised anonymous. He raised about the fire issue, fire accident.
Yeah.
When use the tire chips in RCC in case of fire accident, you get burned. Close to that. Can I ask orally? Somebody wants orally. Anonymous. They want to ask orally. Is this eco-friendly to use it? Are there any codes being followed for design point of view? Kashyap. I am not registered this webinar from WhatsApp subscription. I am interested to attend this webinar. So, I can ask a question orally to the speaker. Somebody is asking, kindly please send the lecture material. Clearly. Well, so as a whole, yeah, there are interesting questions like yes, water and fire. When they are in contact with the tiles, there may be some effects. Yeah, leaching effect, that is interaction with water and tire. Yes, there are already proven negative effects when they are in the open atmosphere. There is leaching effects and ground pollutant, they are already reported. That part is not taken into consideration. But here, what we are trying to show here, sand and types of materials. So when it is there as a combination of the material, the neighboring easily drainable material, that effect may not be so high. That's what the assumption here. Okay. And fire, yes, only the tire chips are alone are there in a massive way. There can be possibility of fire effect. But when you are using as a combination of some other material, the probability of the fire accidents and other things are less. So accordingly, we have to use this judiciously, okay, particularly. Mohit Mistry, he highlighted the point that up to some percentage only the void ratio is specific gravity. A friction angle is more, and beyond that, it is decreasing. Why he is asking? So just I'm trying to show another picture.
Murali, you would like to share something?
Yeah, just to add the answer to the last question, that Mohit Mistry question. See, as you increase the tile chips, I have shown the picture with the sand and tile chips together, right? So as it is touching the 30-40% mixture content, most of the voids in the tire chips are being replaced by sand, so some sort of the thing. They are occupying the thing. It's like it is making a big compact material. When you go beyond the 40% of the tire chip content, the tire chips void ratio is being more. The volume of the sand available is much lesser than the voids that are being created at the higher tire chip percentage. So there are huge volume gap and the void ratio is also increasing. If you recall to that particular figure, void ratio also goes to down and then it will increase beyond the 40% thing. So because of the additional voids, physical voids being created within the mixture matrix, the particular interaction between the particles and tile chips and all will be less. So the peak strength also it will go and increase to some value and then it will come down. Okay, the strength will go peak and come down. Okay, so that's the concept it is happening. It is related to the strength behavior is related with physical behavior, physical in the sense voids and other things which is being taken here. I hope I could answer his question.
Yeah, go ahead with the next question. If you could able to.
Then I think you can allow them to ask if anybody is there. I have seen the points and then I could tell you.
What is the probable reason for that fluctuation in friction angle?
That is what I mentioned, right?
Yeah.
That is what I mentioned.
Then another question from Kaushik. Tires lose their strength. Why they are exposed to water? How can we consider that?
Yeah, when they are exposed to water, I just mentioned that also. So when alone water mixing, yes, there is definitely problem. But when you are using in the matrix form, and then yeah, the effect will be less. Okay, so accordingly we have to use. Again, some question is there on fire also. There's also the this one. Yeah.
Yeah. The other question is, if we use this type of tire strips in RCC.
Yeah, fire related thing. Again, the same answer.
Okay.
Use a material alone, then yes, there is a probable fire hazard. But when you are using it mixture, this it will neutralize to some extent. But again, you have to use judiciously.
Yeah. So Kashyap has asked that is it eco-friendly? Is there any code which demonstrates the use of this material?
As such, into the publications, particularly there is no code, but like ACE, the only I can, as per my understanding, ACE that code will tell the various advantages, sizes, properties for civil engineering applications. Okay, so as per my understanding, there is no direct code to use these materials into the
Yeah.
Then,
yeah, I am just going through one by one. Yeah, so if you use the tire chips in the pavement, so will it affect the ground conditions and the environment?
Ground conditions and environment.
Yeah.
Again, the point is,
environmental impact.
Yeah, environmental effect is again if you are making the structure as impermeable, okay, water is not passing through, and only the tire chips is there, the problem is there. But when you are using it, the combination of materials, okay, and if it's impermeable and it's not directly exposed to the atmosphere, I don't see any adverse effects. Okay. Yeah, these are the points one need to take. Actually, the starting point of this sustainable utilization is the problem with the natural disposal. Okay. So when it disposes into the open atmosphere in a large volumes, there is a lot of contamination effects and fire hazard effects and all are there. So we people try to explore the possible use of into the engineering applications, right?
So
So
another question is, can we replace tire chips I mean, concrete? Can we replace concrete tire chips?
Yeah. In the concrete, yes, some part of the tire chips also being used. There are some studies. Tire derived aggregate, they are using this as a tire derived aggregate. Okay, that some part of the aggregate is being replaced by these tire chips, and it's being used in some application. But yes, there are some papers.
Yeah, so there is another question. So is there any possibility of using robo sand with tire chips?
What is robo sand?
Artificial sand, artificial sand.
Yeah, I think any sand, but the only thing, the proper characterization is required. Proper characterization, how much is strength behavior and
Then yeah, temperature effect already you have
would like
addressed.
to somebody wrote Kashyap Panchal would like to try mixture of these with geosynthetics.
Yes.
Yes, there are some studies already being going on elsewhere. Currently, I am reviewing one paper for one international journal where the tire chips are being used for geosynthetics, and there is a study for pull-out strength behavior. I am reviewing that paper for one international journal. There's somebody.
There is another
Yeah.
question. So in all the trials, whatever you have done for the load tests, so is there in all the tests, did you maintain the density of the mix constant?
Yes, it was maintained. That's what I mentioned there. To arrive at the what is the density for what mix, and how there are several trials have been carried, and the range of the values were taken, and what the reported values are only average mean values. Okay, mean values were reported with 2 to 3% variation. It's not exactly that one, 2 to 3% variation, plus or minus 3%. We can say that variation were there.
So the another question is whether we need to remove completely the steel that is present in the tire waste.
Yes, it's a good question. The tires, whatever we use in that one, we don't have that problem. But while shredding itself, sometimes, yeah, it's good to remove, but the mechanism should be there. Okay.
Yeah. So there is another question. So rubber has shrinkage effect. I mean sinking effect. So because of that, there may be damage to the structure that is constructed. So could you please explain?
Rubber chip is.
When you apply load, there may be
Yeah.
compression effect.
What structure is important? See, again, the point here is how you are using as a rubber alone or with the mixture. With mixture means what percentage and what application and all. There are some occasions where you use rubber alone to have the advantage of this absorption capacity. For example, in front of the retaining wall, when you are including as a compressible inclusion mode, so you need to have that absorption property, okay, and you will have that advantage. But you cannot use that material as a strength carrying member, where you need to have the high strength and low deformability. Okay, there you can't use rubber alone. Then there you need to use some combination of the material like ST symmetry, what is shown here. I hope I could
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah. So there is another question. So whether this tire chips are available with a specific aspect ratio in the market?
Oh, Pradeep is also shooted some question. Which one? Which question? I didn't see.
Yeah, that question is anonymous. The question is whether tire chip with a different aspect ratio, whether it is available in the market commercially, or how did you manage that? That's the question.
Yeah. We managed making through some vendor. It's not commercially available. That is where I mentioned in the cost aspect. No, so initially we have taken higher cost for the tire chips. If it is commercially available and abundantly available, yes, the rate can come down. So I think there are some agencies they are using for some other purpose. Need to be explored, but not everywhere it's available. And
Yeah.
of course, if a project demands in a huge volume of the tire chips, one can make a small shredder type thing, and they can get the locally tires and all. They can.
Yeah, that's the question Pradeep has raised. So, what is the scalability? How can we do that? How to cut this particular chips into what size for the projects practically to do it?
Yeah, in the big scale means we
Especially
should have,
metric tons he is asking.
yeah,
So,
the big,
use tire waste we need
big
to.
scale means we should have a huge tire chip, tire scrapping scrapper unit should be there. That's what I was just mentioned. In the large scale project, if it is demanding, so one can have that near the site when can put the things. Depending on the availability. Currently, that system is not there in India, as per my understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pradeep was part of some study. That cantilever model was no. He was the part of the study. He knows the difficulty, how to difficulty in getting the tire chips of the size, uniform size, and get this one. Yeah.
Yeah, this Venu Kumar again he asked the same thing. I mean, sinkage effect of structure basically because of the rubber chips.
Yes. Depends on the application. So we cannot use the tire chips completely in a strength bearing structure alone, tire chip alone, where compressibility is more. But otherwise, the mixture one can use this one.
Another question by Kaushik is, by any chance can we use thermosetting plastics along with TDA, as they are also difficult to dispose?
Maybe one need to explore. One need to explore. Yeah, maybe I'm not seeing any difficulty, but only thing sort of the concept getting in the mind and doing some trials in the laboratory scale and do a couple of field studies, and then only one can encourage to further field application. Okay.
Yeah, there is another question. So, did you check the age of the tire chips before using in your experimental work?
No, we didn't. It's scrap tire, that's it. We didn't use that. We didn't do the material, I mean, sort of constituent characterization, material characterization, what materials, so content and all. We just went and the engineering application testing point.
Another question. Sir, rubber is compressed material. How to overcome such property over a long period of time? Compressed rubber creates void ratio. How to solve this problem?
Compressed rubber. What is the over the long period? Under what application again it matters?
Yeah.
Expansion and contraction because of atmospheric temperature.
Yeah, that is a similar question.
Yeah, one need to see the over long time, but there are several structures are being built. Yes, if generally, if you see in a large scale, they can be used in the pavements and embankments and railway tracks and all, predominantly. And where your strength and this thing, the buildings, okay, buildings for buildings or other structures, it is very less used. Only in the context of vibration, some research has been done, but it was not applied in the field. But in the large scale, large societal infrastructure, public infrastructure scales only, one can use in a large amount of the thing. Where you have the huge landfills or a very lightweight fill material or embankment or railway road infrastructure in that way.
Yeah, there is a peculiar question. So that is nothing but, sir, you have used a lot of instrumentation in your costly instrumentation in your laboratory. Is there alternative methodology to verify this efficacy without much instrumentation? And
Alternative
solution for experimental work without much investment, much instrumentation?
Yeah, see, displacements can be taken in any mode depending on the available thing. Displacement pressures, see, even if you have the small pressure cells and all, you may not be having continuous data acquisition system, but if you have some pressure indicator, sort of the things can be used. Some sort of dial gauges also can be used to take the readings at regular intervals, which doesn't require data acquisition system and other things. Similarly, display units can be like most of us are doing the triaxial test system, right? One can have small dial gauge based system, or one can have the sophisticated LVDTs, which will dump the data into the computer through DAQ. Okay. So again, of course, depending on the difficulties.
Yeah, there is another question. So if you use tire chips with RCC in pavements, if accident occurs, so or anywhere, if you accident occurs, so it will burn easily. So how come to overcome this?
Oh, I don't see accident and pavement burning. But I'm sure definitely we will not leave the tire chips exposed to the surface. But I'm not seeing that problem.
Then another question is, what is the shape of rubber chips to be used? Is there any standardization, or shall we use any shape?
There is no standardization. What is recommended, as per my understanding, whatever the stage they are using, whatever size they are using, they need to be explored, investigated properly. What is their property and how they are, depending on the size. And then you have the more confidence, okay, what is happening there. Okay, at least little bit trials need to be done to get their elemental properties or as a whole structure property. So, but yeah, depending on the thing, one can say.
Yeah, this is about the questions is concerned. So I thank Murli for your valuable lecture and insights in using scrap tire waste, especially with the earthen material. I profusely thank you for sparing your valuable time. So for the benefit of the students and other participants. Thank you, Murli. Thank you once again.
Okay.
So,
Thanks.
if I have any questions, I will drop email.
Many people are showing different things and different challenges they are highlighting. Yes, it is not a completely a closed thing. It's not a closed book. It's an open book type. Means one can think of, one can explore the things, how it can be used into different things. And basically, I think we have to see how we can use them in a large scale and how to find the solutions. We have to raise a question and we have to find the answer also. So that way we can sort out what is whatever we have done is a small attempt to study the behavior and showed its sustainability aspects. Only thing it showed some approach. What I see here, what I say here, no, you can see that take that approach and look into various aspects and then explain. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for joining the things. Okay, thank you, Suredi, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This SVC student chapter. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you.